Hello and welcome back to Jack Knives Reviews. I'm of course your host, Jack Knives. Today I'll be reviewing the FX limited series, Shogun. In the 1600s, Japan has planted seeds for conflict between 5 regions led by 5 lords. During the conflict, an English captain named John Blackthorne has washed ashore, with one of the lords named Torunaga sparing his life. Little do either of them know that a war may be on the horizon, with both of them possibly being the key to ending it. When I first heard FX was going to be doing an adaptation of Shogun, I was pretty hesitant. I have read the book, I was a big fan of the book, and I even found out upon knowing they were going to adapt it that there was already an adaptation made in the 90s. And yes, I did watch that in anticipation for the show to finish. And it wasn't bad. The casting seemed a little off, and the budget was limited in what they could do at the time in the 90s. But this is exactly how you adapt a book to film. It is all about presentation, from the setting, effects, story, character, casting, visuals, everything. It was just a perfect blend. Even the things I didn't think would work, worked in this show. Cosmo Jarvis playing John Blackthorne was kind of a risky move, considering, honestly, I've never heard of him until this show. But I think that kind of added to it, because I hadn't seen him before and didn't know if he could actually perform the character. The character is essentially a proxy for the audience to be a fish out of water in feudal Japan. And he did a good job with also adding his own element to the character. Anna Sawai as Mariko was also another person I'd never seen before, and to play Mariko is hard because she's not quite a timid housewife, but she's not quite silent either. She has a good balance of the two. Think Memoirs of a Geisha with a little more royalty behind it. And Anna does a good job with the performance. Hiroyuki Sanada as Lord Torunaga is the hands-down star performance of the entire series. He brings royalty, regality, seriousness, a semblance of tradition, and yet not stereotyped. When I look at movies or shows that talk about Japan and try to adapt it into American context, they kind of go a little too heavy-handed. Like, oh, we have to now be super dumbed down for Americans because they don't understand the culture. But they don't do that here. It is what it is. Culture is how the culture is. You have to adapt to them, not the other way around. On a tangent, one of my big issues with the movie The Last Samurai is it had the elements to do something that the book Shogun did, which is explain the culture to a new audience without having to destroy the culture for the audience, which Last Samurai did, and this show doesn't. This show respects the traditions of Japanese culture while creating its own identity at the same time. In Japanese society, tradition is the law, and that is a big part of their culture. The other major standout was Kashigi, played by the amazing Todonobu Asano. He is legit one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Japanese actor. I love how he's always, every role he's ever done, been able to create its own variation of his style. He's a villain, but you root for the villain because you understand the villain, which is extremely hard to pull off. But Todonobu always is able to do it. From Kakihara to Sharkskin Boy to this. He is always hitting it out of the park, and this is no exception. If you don't know his IMDb or haven't seen most of his movies, I recommend it. But back to the actual show itself. The show has a perfect blend of atmosphere. Feels epic because it is epic. It's a big, bombastic story, almost like it's a play or an opera, but it's performed in a way that feels almost as though the world itself is on the line, even though it's really just these few lords and Japan, and it feels bigger than it is, and I love it for it. If you haven't seen this show in all its glory, it is a masterpiece, and I mean that sincerely. Please take time to watch this show. I give Shogun 5 out of 5. Have you seen Shogun? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, I'll see you next time.